Good day, everyone. I'm Justine from Group 3. Me and my other group mates are going to discuss about Maxwell Law from 9 to 13. So let's start. Law number 9 is Law of Magnetism. Next po. Law of Magnetism states that who you are is who you attract. More simply, you will attract people like yourself. We attract people like ourselves, so if we want to attract great people, we must ourselves be great. We all know we all have weaknesses. So for us to achieve that greatness, for us to be great, we must take actions to know our weaknesses and seek to grow out of them. In organizations, Maxwell described leaders as magnets. Leaders are constantly attracting followers and often attracting new leaders to themselves. Maxwell says leaders help to shape the future of their organization, di pa ate, of their organization based on who they are and what they do. And not only do people attract others with similar attitudes, but their attitudes tend to become alike. The things you won't like about your organization is what you don't like about yourself. So more likely, leaders are the one who starts to decide if this organization will have a great culture or bad culture based on their action. So as a leader, if you want a great culture in your organization, it must start with you. Your personality, traits, character, quirks, and mannerism will both attract people like yourself, the organization, as well as rub off on the existing people within. So next po. Also, according to Maxwell, like attracts like. That may seem pretty obvious, yet I've met many leaders who expect highly talented people to follow them, even though they neither possess nor express value for those people's giftedness. Therefore, if you want to grow an organization, grow the leader. And if you want to attract better people, become the kind of person you desire to attract. Then once you are attracting the people you want to have following you, then it's time to take yourself and those people to the next level together. To further understand what law of magnetism means, let's have Jabor test to give example or real life example. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Good day, sir. I'm Jabez, and let me tell you about my experiences as a missionary. People on the mission field told me my members are not the same as before I arrived, taught them the Bible. They claim they are proud, but my pastor reminded me that people won't simply hear my words. They'll watch my actions and then respond. By God's grace, they're living simply and peacefully. I've noticed that my members respond to how I act. If I'm scared, they will be scared. And if they see that I'm on fire, they'll get their own fire. Now, this law is telling us that as leaders, we should first lay the groundwork for what we want to see in our members. We are influencing people. Our draws them in. It is magnetic. So if we want them to be encouraged, we should start by being encouraged. If we want them to be the best, we must first be the best version of ourselves.
Hi, I'm
Yes,
Chelsea,
sir.
and I'm going to discuss the law number 10, which is the law of connection. When, when it comes to working with people, the heart comes before the head. So Maxwell sums up the law of connection by stating leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand, which means that people will not obey you unless they are emotionally invested in the vision you are projecting. You must ensure that your team members trust you, that you are a good role model for them, that you are a trustworthy and a reliable person. Because working with someone who lacks moral value is extremely difficult. Next book. Next slide, please. Next slide po. So in Law of Connection, Maxwell states that the best way to connect with employees is one at a time. He lists 8 steps for achieving this goal with each and every employee. The first one is connect with yourself. In fact, the number one thing you have to do is to connect with other people. You must be able to identify your strengths and weaknesses, or how well do you relate to others and how well do you communicate with them. So by connecting by yourself and understanding who you really are and knowing yourself intimately, then you will have a better capability of connecting with other people. Secondly, you have to communicate with openness and communicating with sincerity. When people keep things away from other people, trust will not be built. The third thing is that in order to build a connection, you must know your audience. You should know who are you speaking to, who are you trying to make connection with, whether you're on stage speaking in front or you're just trying to connect one-on-one with this individual. Because if you don't know who you are dealing with, how can you be effectively make connections with them? How can you build that relationship between the two of you? The fourth thing is that you have to live your message. You have to practice what you preach. There's nothing worse than hearing somebody who says one thing and he does something completely different, meaning his actions contradict to what he's saying. They don't know what they say. And the fifth thing is meet them where they are. So in order to connect with people, you have to find them in your natural habitat. Meaning, if your market is in a certain location, go where there are many people. Try to get their attention and connect with them. So the sixth thing is to focus on them. So the more you talk to me about you, or the more you talk to other person, the more you're going to like me, or the more you're going that person to be like you. So if we talked and if I talked about you, then you're gonna feel more connected to me because you're opening up to me. So the seventh step is to believe in them. Because if you don't believe in someone, then they're not going to connect with you. People tend to have expectation of themselves. They connect better with people who elevate their expectations. They connect better with people who have faith in them that they are going to accomplish a certain task. They have faith that they can do great things. So by believing in them, you can get more out of them. And lastly, the last step is to offer them direction and hope. When a person has hope, they're gonna get connected better and they will do better. They are going to get connected easier with you. So give them hope by giving them strong vision, and you must help them create their own vision for their own life. And so, by doing so, they have a hope of better things and hope for the future. Through that, they are able to take actions and build stronger connections. Next slide po.
So,
So-
good morning, everyone.
Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Carlos Alonso, but Miss Chelsea Ganyak, please continue.
So yeah, so it says here, leaders touch a hand, a heart before they ask for a hand. So The first one is the people trust you. Second is they are a role model to you. And third, trustworthy, meaning they have trust in you. Next, please.
So to connect is to link or unite something to the other, to click and to be on the same track. So as a leader, you must clearly describe and elaborate your objectives and vision for others to understand what you intended. So it is really important that your vision and goals is for the company, for the benefit of the company, not for the benefit of yourself as a leader, and to gain benefit from the others. Building a relationship with another individual, most especially with your members, is essential in leadership. Um, According to Maxwell, you develop credibility with people when you connect with them and show that you genuinely care about them and want to help them. So this really show the importance of fellowship in a team. So fellowship is the one who creates and strengthens the relationship between the leader and its members. So as a leader, we must be someone to rely on and not someone who relies to others. It is important that we should be a leader rather than a boss. We should be the one that leads them and not the one who just commands to them on what they're going to do. You should be the one, and was what Miss Ganyak said, that we should be the one who role models to them. So we should be the one who's in front, not on the back, and carrying you by your members. To acquire people's respect and obedience, you must prove that you are a well-established person. So it is really important that you are established as a person in different aspects, like for example, physically, emotionally, socially, and so on. So you need to show the people that you are strong and you are established and someone that people realize. Next slide, please. To effectively connect with people, you must value them, understand them, and conform with their characters. So it is really important that we adjust to our members or to our people's personality. As a leader, you should be the one who adjusts their personalities and attitude, because it is critical to demonstrate to them the value of a workforce and team members. You must express to them how important them, how important these people to accomplish your task and your vision. A group may work successfully if it has a group leader, if it has a good leader, excellent communication, and a strong commitment to completing duties. So it is really important that we have a good connection and communication with each other to understand each other's complaint and concerns. You must convey that you want them and that you value them not only on the job but also as a person or a friend. So it is really important that we also see them not only as a worker or only as a part of our group, but we should also see them as a friend and someone who is close to us personally. So we establish a friendship with them. We are establishing a friendship with them, but also at the same time, we are setting limitations. It is important that we still have boundaries with our team members, especially as a member, because it is very critical to not cross boundary when it comes to job. Like if they're really comfortable with you, it is there are high chances that they will be just sitting there and knowing that you will forgive them. So it is really important that you set limitation. Do not anticipate others to change in order to follow you. To let people in, you must change yourself. So it is important that we are not commanding them to change, but we should advise them and help them to improve. The rule of connection emphasizes that we must first comprehend people's self-identities, engage where they are, and bond with them before asking them to obey us or believe in our vision of where we want to go. So it is really important that we should accept their identities as a person, and as a leader, it is our responsibility to help them and to be the best out of them and make show their best potentials in their selves. Thank you. Miss Ganya.
So here are two examples of applying the law of connection. So the first one is having lunch or coffee with your team is a great way to connect with them. And team building. So having lunch or coffee with your team is a great way to connect with them. You talk about other stuffs such as events and happenings in their lives, their family, their experiences in life, and while studying, their love life, personal affairs, and even their personal problems. And they try to provide answers as much as you can if they want it. So, team building is another outstanding illustration of how to drive your employees to collaborate, develop their strengths, and fix any inadequacies. Any team building activity should promote cooperation over competition. So make team building a cornerstone of your working routines and procedures. Thank you.
So good day, everyone. I am Joyce Ann Mercado, and I'm going to discuss the 11th rule, which is the law of the inner circle. But before anything else, please allow me to read first the definition of this law. It says here that it states that those closest to us will determine our potential as a leader. They should be people who have our best interests at heart, want to see us succeed, and able to hold us accountable. Our strength as leaders comes only partially from what we know. It is also dependent on the skills of our inner circle and how closely connected our inner circle to each other. An example of the inner circle comes to us from Mother Teresa, who said, "You can do what I can do, and I can do what you can do. Together we can do great things." Actually, I have 2 points about here. I have two realization in this law of the inner circle. First, I called it the gift of leadership. Sometimes we didn't recognize ourselves, our gifts, our own potentials, but those people who are closest to us, those people na nakapaligid sa atin, they see it. Sometimes they see it through our actions or on how we speak to them or to other people. What I'm trying to say in this first key point is sometimes in our lives, because of the things na hindi natin nauunawaan, hindi na natin nakikita yung mga bagay na kaya nating gawin. And one second thing that I want you to realize, no, in this part is the importance of your circle of friends. Those people na nakapaligid sa'yo. Kasi hindi mo naman talaga kayang gawin yung isang bagay kung ikaw lang sa sarili mo. This is how important, dito papasok yung importansya ng mga taong nasa paligid mo. These are the people na tutulungan ka, no, for you to become more confident about yourself. No, dito din papasok yung mga tao, mas maiintindihan mo yung halaga ng mga tao sa paligid mo, especially kung nandun ka sa mga meds na nagdududa ka din sa kaya mong gawin. Sometimes we encounter people na nakikita yung personalities natin, nakikita yung mga kaya nating gawin in a negative way. But if you are surrounded by the right and good people, nakikita nila yun sa ibang paraan. For example, you have this leadership personality, pero sa mga taong hindi yun nauunawaan, ititreat nila yun na bossy ka, na magiging negative yun sa kanila na ang pangit ng ugali niyan, masyadong bossy yan. But yung mga taong tama for you, yung mga taong maganda yung intention for you, makikita yun in a good way. So yun yung first key point ko dito. So next part po. And I know actually, naisip ko lang siya nung ginagawa ko siya. For you to become a great leader, you need to surround yourself with good and right people. Yeah, it's really important. Di ba may kanya-kanya naman tayong company. For example, dito sa ating school, di ba may, sa isang classroom, may kanya-kanya tayong group of friends. And these people, they are the people na tinutulungan tayo. So, for us to become a good leader, kailangan natin i-surround yourself natin sa mga taong makakatulong sa atin, sa mga taong may impluwensyahan tayo para mas maging better person, mas maging better leader. So in connection to this, dito papasok yung second point ko, which is, next slide po. How would you stand as a leader if you are surrounded by people who are smarter and greater than you? We all know naman that in an organization, no, I will give an example na lang din. In an organization, may mga leader, may president, may vice president, may secretary. So you, as a leader, paano ka mag-stand na if you are surrounded by people na mas magaling sa'yo, mas matalino sa'yo? Kasi we all know naman that if you are surrounded by this kind of people, may pride ang tao eh, may ego ang tao eh. Pwedeng maapakan nun yung pride mo, pwedeng maapakan nun yung ego mo na, ako yung president pero ba't mas magaling siya, ba't mas pinaniniwalaan siya? So this where leadership came in. Paano ka maninindigan? Paano mo i-handle yung mga ganong emotion? No? Actually, I've experienced that because before, I handled in our school, way back senior high school, I handled SSG. I'm the president noon nung namin, student council. But yung vice president ko, mas head siya sa akin, mas matanda siya sa akin. So parang, yung pride ko na, how can I handle people if may taong mas mataas kaysa sa akin? So paano ko siya i-control yung emotion ko, paano ko i-control yung ganong nararamdaman ko? So, in this scenario, no, what I'm trying to say, if you are surrounded by these people, they can help you to really control your emotion para mas mahawakan or mas ma-handle mo yung pagiging great leader mo. Kasi leadership is not about yourself. Leadership is not about your own opinion. It's not just about you. Leadership is about influencing. Leadership is about listening to the opinion of the people. Hindi lang siya about sa kung ano yung gusto mong mangyari, hindi lang siya about sa kung ano yung nasa isip mo, hindi lang siya about sa kung ano yung gusto mo, but it's about para sa mas makakabuti sa nakararami. So, next slide please. And sabi nga ni Mother Teresa, you can do what I can't do. I can do what you can do. Together we do great things. Leadership is about helping each other for you to achieve yung gusto nyo talagang mangyari. It's not just about sa inyo lang, it's not just about sa kung ano lang yung gusto mangyari ng leader nyo, but it's about helping each other. So what I'm trying to say dun sa first and second key points ko, you need to really surround yourself with the people na kaya kang tulungan. Kasi leadership, it's about influencing. And when you testify to other people, kaya tulad nga ng sinasabi nila, when you testify to other people, it should be reflected to you. Kasi for you to become a great leader, you should be a great follower first. For you to become a great leader, kailangan sa'yo nakikita yung pagbabago. Kasi kung hindi nakikita sa sarili mo yun, hindi ka makakapag-influensya ng ibang tao. So, ayun lamang po. Thank you. And next is Hillary to give an example.
Good day, everyone. I'm Hilary. I'm going to give some examples about law of the inner circle. So the first example is the people who can inspire, motivate, and push us to reach our full potential, not people who can destroy us as leaders. So for instance, in the past, I surrounded myself with people who became my friends for the purpose of having fun. But as we've gotten older and more mature, we've realized that certain friends are harmful to our lives and have severed ties with them. So we need to cut ties cut ties with those individuals who, due to their negative influence, kept dragging us down. After that, I made it a point to surround myself with the kinds of people who potential. At this point in my at this point in time, I'm less interested in being busybody and more interested in talking about business. Right now, I'm focusing on being a great leader by taking care of my own business. We need someone who can support us all the way rather than who drag us down. By having such that inner circle can truly make us grow and have a potential as a leader. It also strengthens us when the people around us tell what we can do and what we can't do. They help us to figure things out and learn something new. Second example is that compare yourself to no one else because the only person we should try to beat is ourselves. Allow me to fill you in on what's going on in my life. My dad recently launched a new family business, and he has entrusted me with the responsibility of managing the business. My dad is a very successful marketer, and ever since I was a little kid, I've always looked up to him as a role model. I've been there since the beginning, and I've seen him put in a lot of effort, struggle, and ultimately succeed. If I allow my feelings to guide me and compare myself to him, I will put myself under a lot of pressure and feel insecure about myself. When I compare myself to him, I will only end up feeling disheartened and defeated. But his advice stays with me to this day. I should never compare myself to anyone else because the only person I should try to surpass is myself. It's a reminder to everyone that we should not be insecure to someone who's greater than us, but focus more on our personal growth. At the end of the day, our only enemy is ourselves. A true leader more consider the team he have around him rather than the people who's greater than him. Next po. Thank you po.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. We are now down to Law 12 or the Law of Empowerment. By the way, I'm Jacob, and my question is, what comes first in your mind when you hear the word empowerment? Maybe nowadays it's used for feminine purposes or movements, or perhaps Me Too movement. Well, empowerment is simply the capacity to empower someone. It might be yourself, it might be other people, or the people closest to you. This law states only secure leaders give power to others. This means that secure leaders spend their time identifying leaders, building them up, giving them resources, authority, and responsibility, and then turning them loose to achieve. So, uh, this principle is about not being insecure or not being threatened by others by their capacities. Or for example, uh, meron tayong uh, group work, tapos nati-threaten tayo dun sa ibang group. Halimbawa, may kinailangan sila sa akin, "Uy, pahiram naman ng ganito mo." Okay. So ikaw naman, bakit ko ipapahiram yan? Ano, pwede niyong gamitin to against us o ah, baka mamaya madaig niyo na kami niyan. So, this principle is opposite to that. So, instead of being threatened by them, being intimidated, we are uh, we are more open na ibigay yung kinakailangan ng iba, kumbaga. Insecure leaders, on the other hand, spend their time suspicious of those around them and do everything they can to undermine people's potential and growth. This is what I am telling, na this is opposite, actually. When we empower others, we are thinking about their state, or iniisip natin yung kapakanan nila rather than focusing on ourselves, or rather than being egocentric, kumbaga. And sabi dito, do everything they can to undermine people's potential and growth. Yun yung ginagawa ng mga leaders na focused or self-centered. Next slide, please. Okay. For this law, I will be citing two personalities. Former US President Theodore Roosevelt said, "The best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and the self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it." Okay, Maxwell says this because to keep others down, you have to go down with them. And when you do that, you lose any power to lift others up. So a great leader is measured by his or her capacity to lift others up. On the opposite, we can call them pathetic if others are creating waste or doing things that will destroy or will harm other people for the sake of themselves or their group. So that is what President Roosevelt is emphasizing here. Next slide. Next is none other than Maxwell himself, saying the truth is that empowerment is powerful not only for the person being developed, but also for the mentor. So, hindi naman tayo lugi. Kumbaga, kung tayo ay mag-empower ng iba, because it will have also a return to us. Kumbaga, magkakaroon din ito ng chain effect na babalik sa atin yung ginawa natin. Just like the law of karma and other stuffs. Enlarging others makes you larger. Of course. So, citing an example, katulad na lang sa executive branch ng government, we are judging or we are measuring them, yung mga nakaupo sa gobyerno, according to what they have done. Did they make the country progressive, or did they make it or napa-unlad ba nila ito o mas lalong nalugmok, kumbaga. Therefore, to take advantage of this law in our lives, we must come to understand that as we develop the leaders around us, we not only inadvertently raise our own value as a leader, but our organizations are benefited in the process as well. So if you do something good to others or to other groups, to other people groups, it will benefit us as well. So that is what Maxwell is trying to imply here. Next, please. Okay, so these are the examples and applications to be presented by Harvey.
Hi guys, so I'm Harvey. So leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. So as a leader, it's not only our responsibility na magbigay ng tasa sa ating mga members o sa ating followers. It's also our responsibility to empower them or to boost them. Kasi how can we make a good result if hindi naman matino yung pagpamamalakad mo. It's just like martial law, 'di ba? Kasi when we say martial law kasi, hindi lang naman niya basta maganda nga yung bunga niya when it comes to our security, but hindi maganda yung pamamalakad niya. So ano bang naging result nun? Hindi maganda. So ang tunay na leaders, hindi niya ginagamit yung power niya just to hold their neck or para lang hawakan sila. As a leader, it's also our responsibility to make the best out of them. So yung next slide, please. As a leader, we can be measured through the people that surround us. The type of leadership we establish will directly show on our followers. So as you can see to this, yun yan nakita, the type of leadership will establish directly on our followers. Kung ano yung pamamalakad na meron ka, makikita natin yun sa bawat tao. Just like church, 'di ba? Kung ano yung ugali ng pastor, kung mabait siya, nakukuha yun ng mga tao sa kanya. Nakikita naman natin yun sa bawat sarili natin. Kung natin ako, makikita mo kung mabuti akong tao, malalaman mo mabuti siyang tao, makukonclude mo agad na may maganda siyang experience kasi yung kung anong meron tayo ngayon is yun yung result kung saan tayo galing at kung anong environment yung meron tayo. So, are we benevolent or self-centered? Maxwell's standard will live up to a legacy they have left. The good and important thing they have contributed to others and the society. So kung ano man yung leadership na meron ka, magiging key points na ng bawat tao o magiging treasure nila kung ano man yung tinuro mo sa kanila. Kasi tandaan natin, the key to successful leadership is to influence, not to authority. Hindi natin trabaho na utusan sila or di natin trabaho na pagawin sila ng kung ano-ano. Ang trabaho natin is to make them the best version of themselves and to help them to be more on them. So yun lang. Next, please. So the next will be presented by Miss Giselle and Mr. John Habonete.
And I'll be the one who will discuss for very quick this law of the picture, which is the 13th law on the 21 Irrefutable law by John Maxwell. This literally means that as a leader, you are a picture of the entire organization. It means that you are the center representation of what is going on within your organization. You are the reflection of what is happening on the group that you belongs to. You are the reflection of the behavior and the way each of your members act, speak, and communicate to each and everybody, either or whether it is within internal or external partners of the business or on an organization. He quoted here that as a leader, you must be aware that people do what people see coming from you. They have practiced what you are practicing. Because prior to the reporters, they believe that if you are a leader, you should possess first or you should embody first all of the policies, the core values, or going supposed to do something if you as a leader can't. It is like you are a living picture who embodies all of the factors and the core values together with the vision and mission of your company. So let's find out why it is really important for a leader to act like a living picture within an organization. Because it is really true that one of the highest law in understanding that everything rises and falls based on your leadership, because you are embodied with the authority of how you should implement something within an organization. We all know that if something fails, we always look for who is the leader. For example, within the class, someone who didn't pass all of the requirements on time, or half of the class didn't submit the requirements on time. They always look for who is the president. Why is that he or she didn't reach out for those students who didn't pass or has a fail grades? And when it comes to success, we always look who is the president of that specific country, who leads or who is the manager. And for example, there is an outstanding member of the organization. One of the other member will gonna look for who is your leader, who mentors you. And it is really evident within a workplace. If you are performing very well, they're going to ask who is your manager, who is your direct supervisor, because what the other people see coming from their leaders, they have practiced it. So chances will be if there is a poor habits of leadership, there would be also a poor habits on within an organization. So according to an opinion research corporation by an Arijon Finance, it's coming from is basically for a finance. Here are the most important traits of a leader. It should have the knowledge of the business, or generally speaking, you as a leader must be competent on what you are doing. It is like pinabili ka ng nanay mo ng suka pero sa hardware ka bumili. Parang ganun yung idea. You should have the knowledge of what you are doing, because if not, they will see you, or each of the members of your subordinates will perceive you as like you are not that reliable enough to provide the policy because you don't have idea of what you are doing. Aside from the expertise or the professionalism, a living leader should have, or a living picture leader, I'm sorry, should have a strong ethics and morals. Why? Because regardless of how smart and bright the leader is, if he didn't know how to communicate properly, or he didn't know how to initiate an action within an organization and compromising all of the backgrounds and the ethical views of each subordinates and members, walang maniniwala sa'yo. There wouldn't be a uniformity regards of the goals and the mission within the organization. And lastly, the one that we are talking about, you are leading by example. You are doing what you wanted or what you have forecasted for the entire organization. So before leaving this presentation to the next to the next reporter, I would leave we are all the leaders of ourselves, and that we are a good leader of our own lives and they can apply it to themselves. What kind of role model do you want to be with your life? Because I believe again, most of the people who surrounds us copies what we are doing, and same as well to us. We are copying what they are doing in their life and applied it in ourselves. So I am asking you guys, do you want to be a role model for a corruption or for a dishonesty, for injustices, or do you want to be a role model that Maxwell wanted to perceive to us? A living picture leader who embodies what he is preaching on. Next presenter, please.
Ang presidente, abogada, politiko, pinuno ng Liberal Party at ika-14 na vice-presidente ng ating bansa, Leni Robredo. As a first-time voter and as a youth, ngayon ko lang nalaman at binigyang importansya kung gaano kahalaga ang mahusay at maayos na gobyerno sa ating bansa. Nakita natin yun sa pamumuno ni VP Leni, respetado at may plano. Nabago niya ang buhay ng nakararami sa atin, lalong-lalo na ang kabataan. Nabuksan ng kaisipan kung ano ang tama at nararapat para sa bawat Pilipino, lalo na ang mga nasa laylayan. Noong pumunta ako ng rally, doon ko naranasan kung gaano naging kalaking epekto ang pagtakbo ni VP Leni bilang presidente. Grabe ang voluntarismo, lahat nagbibigayan, walang nag-aaway, hindi nagtutulakan kahit masikip ang daan, may respeto, magaganda't gwapo. Huy! Lahat tayo naging mabuting tao, aminin nyo, for today's video. Ngayon, mas pinipili na lang nating maging mapagkumbaba sa mga taong iba ang suhestyon o ideolohiya sa buhay. Sabi nga ni VP Leni, mas radikal ang magmahal. It proves how great leader she is. Even though she not won the presidency, but she won our hearts. At hindi na maalis yun. dahil alam natin at tumatak sa ating puso't isipan kung sino ang karapat-dapat, kwalipikado, totoong may pake sa bawat Pilipino. Nakita natin kung gaano siya kabuting tao at mahusay na pinuno, kaya nai-apply natin yon bilang isang mamamayang Pilipino, nagtutulungan at totoong nagkakaisa para maabot ang gobyernong tapat, angat buhay ang lahat. Kinulang, pero simula pa lang ito ng ating laban. It proves dahil sa meron siyang good governance, dahil OVP receives COA's highest audit rating for third straight year. And ethical and civic-minded dahil she spent her 9 years working as a lawyer in an NGO working for the poor. And she continues it up to now, up to the present, dahil na kahit na matatapos ang kanyang termino, tutulong pa rin siya dahil magtatayo siya ngayon ng Angat Buhay NGO. And it shows her commitment to the poor and to social justice. Kaya yung mga tao magtutulungan din na mag-volunteer para makatulong din sa ibang tao. And that's leadership. That is. Yun yung totoong pagiging pinuno. Tumutulong pa rin kahit hindi na nasa posisyon. High integrity. May nabasa nga ako sa Google na before si Jessie, yung asawa niya, tinanong siya kung gusto niya maging mayor dahil patapos na rin yung termino ni Mr. Jessie. Pero hindi tinanggap yon ni Madam Lenny dahil against siya sa dynasties, political dynasties. It proves or it shows how great she is, how parang pinapractice niya kung ano yung mga sinasabi niya. She practice what she preaches. Honesty. Totoo, transparent siya, accountable, lahat pinapakita, lahat ng ari-arian. It shows na wala talagang corrupt. Hindi siya corrupt na tao. Then, works timelessly. She works 18 hours a day. Girl, it proves how great she is. Kaya na lahat ng mga bashers before na hindi daw nagtatrabaho ng 18 hours. Pero yung ibang tao nakakaranas noon, naramdaman ng ibang tao yung nararamdaman ni VP Lenny. Na 18 hours siya nagtatrabaho araw-araw. And it proves she is the best president we never had. Then, next po. Next pa po. Personal application po. As a student, before, meron akong teacher na sobrang galing magturo. Kaya na-i-apply ko yung mga tinuturo niya sa akin na how to report, how to pronounce things, ganon. Kaya yung teacher na yon, before kasi gusto ko talaga maging teacher and I want to teach younger people na magturo talaga. Kasi ang galing niya magturo kaya parang gusto ko na rin maging teacher, ganon. Then letter B is workplace. Gusto ko rin, sa workplace, di ba, dahil yung ka-workmate mo, maaga siyang pumapasok and parang sa tingin mo, alam mo, super aga naman niya, dapat pala maaga rin akong pumapasok para naka-prepare ako kung anong mga gagawin. Kaya yung workmate na yun, nai-apply niya sa sarili niya na papasok na rin ako ng maaga para parehas kaming productive na makatulong dun sa company. Letter C is family. If your parents utter bad words, kunya nagmumura, magagaya din yun ng anak. Na, sasabihin ng mga kapitbahay, ganyan pala kayo, palamura kayo, gano'n. Kasi nagagaya din, palamurin pala, sino turo sa inyo yan? Parang gano'n. Kasi nagagaya din ng anak yung mga sinasabi ng magulang. Indeed, leadership is a very casual thing or very visual thing. Then if you are really leading people, they are watching you. They are looking at you and discovering whether what you say and what you do is the same thing they possess. They are finding out if you're the first to sacrifice, if you're the first to put your commitment on the line. Pretty much what I have discovered is that people don't do what people hear. Hindi ginagawa ng tao yung mga naririnig nila lamang. So a boss that barks commands and tells people what to do, that's not going you to take too far. But I've always discovered that people do what people see. And that is the law of picture. Thank you. That's all.
And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening with our group. So those are the laws that has been assigned on our group. Thank you so much.